what are you actually building at CTC that you can talk about publicly? And whatever the answer to this question represents is your bet on how AI is the most useful right now. I'm assuming you're thinking about this problem from a cost to impact ratio perspective, like what can make the biggest impact in the least amount of time, and how do I balance those things with all the potential things AI can do? So where is it taking you? What do you think the opportunity is?
What we're working on is the creative strategy system. And I wouldn't necessarily say that is the highest ROI opportunity compared to like media buying or growth strategy or anything like that yet. I would say they're all very comparable. But creative strategy is something that is particularly slow. And we felt like particularly in need of disruption because people are spending a ton of money on their creatives and they're just not getting the outputs that they need. And it's a system that is kind of ripe for disruption for AI. So what we're doing is there's multiple different levels in the process and that we're building. So there's kind of a foundational, there's a foundational data layer that we're building for automated concepting, or automated briefing. So we're calling that the ultimate brief. And what that does is it pulls in multiple different data sources. So it gets all of your product SKU, revenue and margin and inventory data. It scrapes all of your reviews and other demographic data. And it will also pull in like your sales to look at marketing moments and everything like that. And what it does is it produces this really nice brief that gives a lot of context around your brand.
Sorry, is it picking between different products? Like when you say it pulls in all that product level data, is it giving some suggestion about which products you should focus on next?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So based on inventory position and margin and probably SKU velocity or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can say a business goal. So you want to maximize top line revenue, you want to focus on highest margin, or you want to sell something that is in stock right now in inventory. So we will be able to kind of pull all that in, and we also relate a review to a specific product. So the more powerful thing that we can do is we can do this full workflow. We can say, I want to sell something that's my highest margin product. And then I want to see all the reasons why someone said they were buying that specific product through my reviews. And I want to see the exact persona that I identified or the exact audience that I identified as the person who was buying it. So I can look at what my product was, what my offer is, who was buying it, and why they're buying it. And all of that to create these briefs and create those concepts.
And so then it's going, so you set the business goal, it gives you the product suggestion. And when it gives you the product suggestion, it gives you the briefs as well, like the ad briefs.
Yeah. So when we think about concepts as like an offer, an audience, and an angle, it automates that entire process. And it can also look in the seasonal element of your brand, like where you are. And this is another reason why AI is powerful, because it has that intuition. So you know around the time of year you're in, how that relates to your previous year's revenue graph. Is there a marketing moment you can take advantage of, and how does that relate to your concepts?
So, okay, that's really interesting. So it's going to then give you the place to start for all of that is, that's very fascinating. And what you're describing there is a really good indication of this, because I've talked with Taylor plenty of times. I've probably done episodes about this. He's done episodes about this, about how to pick which product to advertise next. And it's weighing this combination of inventory position, goals, value to the brand. And all you're doing there is saying that there is a rubric that's happening in our minds here. Mm-hmm. So why would I try to go think through that rubric with my very limited capacity, and instead have AI go perfectly execute my rubric, And I'm assuming what will happen there is that you'll end up in some spaces where it will not do exactly what you want it to do, and you'll have to figure out where it went wrong and sort of keep problem solving that. Like I could imagine. But I mean, that's of course going to happen with humans too. And probably at a lower error rate with AI,
I mean, and even the volume game kind of evens it out eventually, but it's like, can we expect a creative strategist to have to be considering all of the product sales data and inventory data for every single SKU. Like imagine if you're a complex brand, like an apparel brand, it's just not fair for people to be considering all of that at once. And then also having to consider why people are buying it and who's buying it, and then having to do that like 100 times a month. Like it's too much for a human brain to comprehend at scale, because that's one brand. So now you have to do it across multiple brands. So it's a very difficult thing to do, but it's something that's super easy and super well suited to AI. So it fits in really well, and the results are really, really cool too.
What part of that process could I do? Like, I can't build that. I don't think. But what could I build with the tools where they're at now?
You could get access. You could create a more manual version of this that you're able to use. So you could export your product sales data from Shopify. You wouldn't have to use the API, and you can paste it into whatever BI tool you want to use, or Google Sheets, for example, and you could order it. You could probably do an element of the review scraping data that we use. I think that we could come up with frameworks to make it efficient and work well for you. It wouldn't be entirely
Sure.
automated, and it wouldn't be the same level of detail. But if you thought about very specific frameworks that you want your AI to think about your reviews in, and broke them down more into chunks or bulk, and then pasted them in, and then got the results and compared those, that might be a way that you could more easily that you could get more value out of your reviews. I would then make sure that you keep the product IDs associated with the reviews, because most reviews data, they'll give you that. And then you can paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to join your product sales table to your review table. So now you've joined those together and you have a relationship there. And you could probably graph that data and get an insight into your marketing calendar that way too. So you could create you yourself, with a bit of hard work, could create like a semi-automated, a little bit more manual version of this. I think it would be the final output, which would be hard for you to automate, which is automating the process of concepts and briefs and everything like that.
Have you outputted these briefs yet?
We've outputted specific concepts, but there's a whole other part of this that we haven't even spoken about, which is where a huge amount of my time has gone into, which is automating actually creating the ads themselves. Which might be interesting to talk to.